Hi guys, and welcome back to Scribe Gaming. I'm your man Scribe, and I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. So it's time for episode 3 of my How to Make It Free to Play series, and today we're going to be covering resource management. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so when we talk about resource management, we're literally talking about every single perishable aspect of the game. Now that goes from energies to gear to mods to Zeta materials, ability materials. Anything that you use that is not infinite is a resource that you need to manage in this game. So we're going to start off with the shipments. I'm going to go through each of the tabs and we're going to look at what we look for and where we will spend our resources. So in the base shipment tabs, you've got these 4 items here that can be purchased with regular credits. Now, it doesn't matter what stage of the game you are at. In my opinion, you buy these every single store refresh. You might have thousands of them. Doesn't matter. Buy them anyway. They are an insignificant amount of credits. Just purchase all of them and you'll use them for gearing up your characters, for converting into relic materials for your relic gears. Just do it because it doesn't cost you anything really. Now, you will have a number of characters that you can purchase from crystals. Now, I highly advise not purchasing these unless you absolutely have to. The value for these is, I believe it's 80 crystals per character shard. Now that is more expensive than simply farming them and refreshing the node. So unless you are on the strictest of deadlines, do not waste your crystals getting character shards. If you're completely flush with crystal shards, you've got tens of thousands of crystal shards and you don't care about being hyper efficient, then go ahead. But in my experience, particularly as a free-to-play character, you don't really want to be buying character shards from these stores. So ignore them. We'll head down to the bottom just so we can see what else is available. Now you do have the 6E mod slicing materials here and the various mod slicing materials. And whilst some of them are actually quite cheap, again, I don't advise actually spending your crystals. You're better off using these to refresh your Cantina energy and farming them manually. You might be like, oh yeah, but for 400 crystals, I don't think I would get 50 of these particular mod slicing materials. There's more to it than that, guys. You want to be, you also get your Cantina energy, and I actually think you're quite likely to get a decent amount of these if you did spend that energy that way. So ignore them. As for gear, again, gear is not something that you really want to be spending crystals on unless you have an excess of income, and I wouldn't be spending it on these items. Me personally, I would get these from the shard store, from your raiding, etc, etc. Now, Chirotech is something you may want to consider spending your crystals on. They are cheaper to farm. If you're using your regular energy refreshes, cheaper to farm from the node, but if you do not have the luxury of farming from the node because you have too many hard farms going on, they're not that expensive to buy from the crystal store here, from the shipments. I think they work out at 1400 for 50, which is decent enough. And if you're having to gear up characters to relic levels for new relic events, then go ahead and spend them here. Just go down to the bottom again. I wouldn't waste any of your crystals on these early game shards, and certainly not on sim tickets. Once you hit level 60 and you get access to fleet payouts, then you'll never need to buy sim tickets ever again. They become a worthless currency. Okay, so now we're looking at the weekly shipments. Now these can sometimes have some very good things. Now Boba Fett and Ugnaught here were available 5 shards for 1 million credits. In my opinion, if you ever see any 5 shards, I don't care who it is, if it's a character you've maxed out, it's a character that you don't care about, just buy those shards. It's 1 million credits. You can see I've got 152 million credits at the moment. Spending it on this just to keep your shard shop currency up or to stop me having to farm Ugnaught, to me that's worth 1 million credits. Now I suppose that does depend on where you are in the game. Early game I certainly wouldn't advise it, but late game when you've got to the point where credits is really not an issue, just buy these. Now these here, now the Mark 6 droid callers, they do get used more often for these relic farms that you need to do for certain Galactic Legends events. However, I don't advise spending 25,000 of your ally points to purchase anything that they put in here, because it's usually just a terrible deal. You'll get far more value from using 25,000 of your ally points inside opening bronziums to give you shard currency than you'll ever get from purchasing these. So do not spend them. Do not. This is a complete rip-off. No matter what point of the game you're at, you will not need these 5 Mark III ability materials for 25,000 ally points. Just do not do it. Again, you can... Oftentimes what they'll do with the weekly shipments is they will gear the characters in these shipments around events that are upcoming. So we know that the Mandalorian characters are all being released now for a most likely Moff Gideon Legendary event that's coming in December. So they are now appearing in the weekly shipments, and we can probably expect them to appear in next weekly shipments too. Again, they are 80 crystals per shard. I don't advise you spend your crystals here, okay? Don't do it. And then they have a lot of gear. Now, this, I believe, is more geared towards sort of the whale aspect of the game, where you can spend a lot of your crystals on some pretty high-profile gear. Personally, unless you have lots of crystal income and lots of crystals building up, you don't really want to be spending your crystals here. There are a few things that I do advise buying, and that would be these built full pieces of stun guns. The prototypes, not the full stun guns over here, that 2,500. That is still pretty good value for crystal money, but these ones here are actually cheaper than buying this here. You can see this is 1,300 crystals. This here is something like 1,274. You save yourself a little bit of crystals for exactly the same thing. I tend to buy stun guns if I have the excess crystals, because I believe it is good value for money. Everybody needs stun guns. Okay, so Cantina battles. Now, this will really depend on where you are in the game. All I would advise is take a look at what you are farming currently and just make sure that you are prioritizing getting those people to 7 stars. You do not waste your currency on shipbuilding materials, training droids, ability mats. No, don't spend it on these. It's a waste, a complete waste. Just spend it on getting the characters that you need. For example, if you're going for Thrawn, get Chopper. Don't stop farming him till he's at 7 star. If you are trying to build up your Rebel fleet and you want to have Bistan's U-Wing, get Bistan, get him to 7 star. If you're going for Galactic Republic, get Ahsoka Tano. Do not get Jedi Knight Guardian, that's a complete waste. 5s, perfectly viable to gear and farm. Boba Fett, get him. Hoth Rebel Scout, maybe for late game if you're going Mon Mothma. Mob Enforcer, ignore her. First Order Officer, useful to get, but not an immediate one unless you're pushing straight for SLKR. Old Daka, very useful, but in today's meta, I feel like the Night Sisters are not as valuable. So if you are early game, you can ignore Old Daka for basically forever, because there are so many other teams, more modern teams, that give you better bang for your buck. Stormtrooper, again, not a great character, but if you're going down the SLKR route, you need him, so get him. Qui-Gon Jinn, ignore him. You can get to late game where you're getting cam shards and then maybe eventually he's useful, but for now, no. Poe Dameron, you'll need him for GL Rey, so go ahead. But just make sure you prioritize these farms and put them all in until you 7-star these characters. Do it in an order. No matter what you're currently farming, think about what your next farm is. Get through those. Leave the ones that I've said to ignore, and then once you're finally done with them, just spend all your currency on Cassian's U-Wing, even if you don't intend using him. Get Cassian's U-Wing to 7 stars, and then every 400 Cantina credits that you get, buy Cassian's U-Wing. And the reason for that is this gives you 5 shards of Cassian's U-Wing, and that is actually more valuable to you in shard shop currency than 5 shards of Chopper, for example. Fleet ships give you more shard shop currency per shard than characters do. So just spend it on Cassian's U-Wing so you gain more shard shop currency. Simple as that. Guild Store. Now you will be hopefully raking in quite a lot of Guild Store currency over the years that you play this game, and it is full of very, very useful gear. Now, you do have to prioritize what you buy in this store. Pulse modulators Mark IIs, I can't advise you actually buy these here. It's expensive for not very many, okay? Mark IV Zaltin back to gel salvage is premium gearing. You'll need it for a lot of relic characters. I like to try and build up a lot of these. I need to get 350 of these at the moment just to gear up for Jedi Master Luke. So I'm well on my way. Mark VI droid callers, again, they are useful. Not in mass quantities, but they are used for a lot of relicking characters that you need for GLs. So depending on your stage in the game, buy these as you need them, okay? Now, anything that you've got over 1,000 of, safely ignore. I would also say for now, do not buy these full eyeballs. You do get them from challenges on a weekly basis. You get about 60 a week. So unless you're desperate for them, I don't advise farming or buying these Mark 8 biotech implant salvages. Same again down here. Stun cuffs, I believe, are worthwhile buying in this store. A lot of characters need them. They're not quite as common as Carbantes. However, you get Carbantes from weekly challenges. Again, roughly about 60 a week, provided you're hitting all your challenges. But you don't get the same thing for stun cuffs. And they cost the same amount of money, and they cost the same amount of crystals to buy. So if you have a priority, I would say using your guild store currency over here on stun cuffs over Carbantes is a good thing. Carbantes you can buy, but I wouldn't do it if you don't have good guild store currency. Mark 5 Droid Caller Salvage have had a resurgence recently because they are used in a lot of finisher pieces. Now, and I mean a lot. Almost every character needs to use these Droid Callers now to get their finisher pieces to take it to relics. And because relics are now so prominent in the game, particularly around unlocking Galactic Legends and new legendary characters, these now are a primary resource. These Nubian security scanners are also used quite frequently. And I believe these are raid gear, so it's kind of like, you know, you do need to get quite a bit of it. And they're not the easiest things to come around. Mark for anything you've got over 1,000 salvage for, ignore, don't spend anything on it. Now these pieces here, in particular I think this Mark 6 Blast Tech Weapons mod, 100 guild store currency for 5 of these is actually a really good deal. Because this can save you energy refreshing the lower tier nodes just by spending 100 currency, and a lot of characters use these, so buy them. Young Han Solo, I'm a mad lad. I don't recommend farming him these days, it's just not worth it. Gamorrean Guard, you can see I'm on 0 of 50, that should tell you everything you need to know. Now this node here flips between the ship and the character. They're both needed for SLKR, or I believe the Finalizer event needs this Special Forces TIE Fighter. So if you are going down the SLKR route, do gear them up, do star them up. Again, like I said, get them to 7 stars, do it as a priority. Colonel Stark is needed for Sith Eternal Emperor, and whilst I don't advise going for him early on, he will eventually be needed, so get him. Ewok Elder is very, very useful to get C-3PO, however you can get him elsewhere, I believe. So perhaps not buying him from this store. Night Sister Alkalite, you can see my shard farming on her, don't buy her. Logray is a complete pain. If you are in the early game, whenever you have currency and whenever you see Logray in this store, for the love of God, buy him. Now, he is a rare drop within this store, and he makes the C-3PO event 100 times easier. So please, save some currency, buy Logray if you don't have him. If you've already got 3PO without unlocking Logray, then great, happy for you. But Logray is so useful for that event, and it will save you going bald. So perhaps save some currency for Logray. Magna Guard you can get from the Cantina store, and Kit Fisto. It's Kit Fisto, guys, don't get him. Alright, so Squad Arena store. This is another place that you're really going to have to sort of focus in on around your needs. What do you need? What is important for you to unlock? So we're going to go through. I'll come back to here. Quickly we'll go over it. We'll say, don't waste your Squad Arena store on the credits at all. Just, it's a waste. Don't bother. Kanan is used for Phoenix to unlock Thrawn. So get Kanan when you need him. Cassian Andor, useful for his ship, obviously. You'll need to unlock the ship to get the currency from the Cantina store. So it is quite useful. Mace Windu, don't recommend it. Maybe super early game if you really want to rush to get Grandmaster Yoda, or you want to build up your endurance fleet. I don't recommend it. You'll get Mace Windu eventually through Bronziums, so don't bother with Mace Windu. Grand Moff Tarkin, on the other hand, can be quite useful early game for fleet. Princess Leia you do need for CLS, but make sure you prioritize these things based on where you are in your legendary farming. Chief Nebbit. I've got 60 shards and I've never farmed him, so I've been getting him probably from Bronziums. Thugnaut, ignore him. Greedo, quite a good bounty hunter actually. I believe I farmed him early days, so it's not terrible to farm him, but I would put him as a low priority. Asajj Ventress you need for gas, so definitely farm her. HK-47 is a fantastic character to put in a Darth Revan team, so definitely get him. Savage you can ignore. Admiral Akbar, Useful for his Home 1 fleet. The Home 1 fleet has had a resurgence recently with the release of the Rebel Y-Wing, so it's useful to get him up there just to have an ancillary fleet eventually. Coruscant Underworld Police, apart from being completely overpowered, is actually completely useless, so don't farm him. IG-88 does have a lot of use in the game, but he's not a priority farm outside of the fact that you need to unlock his ship to get the Millennium Falcon. Now, I know the Rebel meta is no longer top tier, but it is still useful to have. And he's not terrible. He gets his place in a few droid teams. Maybe now with the resurgence of droids and scoundrels, maybe under Queel, or with Queel and IG-11, he might have some additional use. Eathcoth is absolute trash. Ignore him. Stormtrooper Han, you do need to get for CLS. So he is worthwhile farming here. Newt Gunray, very easy character to get early on. Very useful. Like Darkside GOTB, can also be used to unlock the Padme event. Good character all round. Sidious, you'll obviously need him if you're going down the Sith Eternal Emperor route. I'm obviously not going down that route just yet, because I'm going down Jedi Master Luke, and then I'll go down SLKR. That's why I haven't bothered farming him, because it does not fit to my current farming needs. Okay? However, once you've got the characters that you need, I recommend you try and max out your prestige as much as possible. Each new capital ship that gets released takes over 2,000 prestige to max out all the abilities. So try and build up a healthy stock of this prestige, okay? Once you've built up a nice healthy stock like I have here, then you can start spending your excess currency on getting characters to convert to shard currency. Useful tip. Alright, cool. Galactic War Store. Now, Galactic War Store is the fastest farming in the game. You can get 15 shards a day of any given character or ship that you want, provided you're finishing Galactic War every day, and there's lots of useful ships. Clone Sergeant's ship is decent, but I don't think he's necessary these days. Ahsoka Tano is absolutely necessary for the Galactic Republic fleet, very useful in Tier 1 of the gas event, so get that. Wedge Antilles X-Wing is needed now for the Jedi Knight Luke event, so make sure you farm up that. Zeb, needed for Thrawn. Make sure you farm up that. Bodhi Rook, ignore. K2SO you can unlock for Cassian's ship, but doesn't have a whole lot of use in this game. It's a decent tank, but not a priority. Cad Bane, quite a decent bounty hunter, can be helpful in the credit heist events. Luminara Unduli, I can't advise you getting her unless you're hyper late game and getting cam shards, but even then, I think there are better choices. Night Sister Initiate does have her uses. It's an easy farm. If you want to gear her just for the use, go ahead. Thatcher, can't recommend. I don't know why. I have, probably from way back in the early game. Big Starklighter, useful tank ship for Rebels. You can get him. You do need him for Jedi Master Luke, so make sure you do. Tebow, trash. Ignore him. Poggle the Letter, useful in Geo teams. Do get him. IG-86, absolutely not. Tusken Raider, absolutely not. Magma Trooper does have a few niche counters, particularly to take out Treya teams and that sort of thing, but I don't really recommend it. Captain Phasma, you do need her for SLKR, so make sure you get him. Resistance Pilot, you do need him for Rey, so get him as well. Now, there are rotating ships up here. There are a few that are rarer than others, such as Sunfac Starfighter Pilot, Starfighter, and the other Geo ships, so get them if you can, and I believe you can also get the Phantom and the Ghost ships in here as well, so keep an eye out and just farm them what you can. Once you've farmed everything that you need, spend all your Galactic War currency on the ships, because you get more currency overall for the Shard Shop. Mod Store. Mod Store holds mods. Mods are king. If you can, if you do have lots of spare currency, make sure you go through and you take an eye out and keep an eye out for anything that's got 5 speed or higher in the secondary, and buy those mothers like they're going to run out. I'm currently not going to buy this because my fleet currency is getting low and I need to make a lot of fleet investment soon, so I'm not spending it. I would also only advise going as... That's quite nice. Having an offense percentage and a speed on a secondary. If it was wasn't on a cross, I'd consider it, but no, because the crit chance as well. Those are good secondaries. In normal circumstances, I'd probably consider buying this. But again, it's fleet currency, and I'll get another opportunity. So I wouldn't advise getting anything below a purple mod, because these mods are expensive. Again, this is when you've got a point where currency is not so much of an issue, guys. Just keep an eye out for those niche mods, things with speed secondaries, things with offense percentage primaries, crit damage triangles, but only if they've got useful secondaries, guys. Useful secondaries are speed, useful secondaries are offense percentage. Remember that. The Fleet Arena store. There's so much that comes in here. So much that comes in here. So there are a couple of rare character drops that drop in here, namely General Grievous. If you're early game and you do not have General Grievous unlocked, then for the love of God, get Grievous. Vader also appears here. If you don't have Vader, get Vader. If the TIE Advanced is in here, get the TIE Advanced. These are rare drops. You need to save some fleet currency for them and make sure that you buy them each and every time if you can. Comprende? Very good. You'll also see stuff like the Geo ships, very useful. Wedge Antilles is obviously needed. Clone Sergeant, not so much. Imperial TIE Fighter, Ahsoka Tano, useful, but also available elsewhere. So just make a list of the rare characters that drop in here. Like I said, Vader, the TIE Advance, General Grievous. You can get things like Ahsoka Tano Fulcrum here, but at the moment she is not really a useful character, so I don't advise you spending it. Once you've got the characters that you need and the ships that you need, all of your remaining currency in this set store goes to Zeta material mats. Even right now, when I have 326 Zeta mats, you still buy Zetas with all 2,000 currency, okay? So, Guild Event Store is very, very straightforward. You've got Get 1 currency that you get from Hoth territory battles, and you've got the Get 2 currency that you get from Geonosian territory battles. This Geonosian territory battles currency, the Get 2, the only thing, and I mean the only thing you spend this on, is Negotiator Shards and Malevolence Shards. Then you save this mother. You save it. Because eventually, CG are going to release another ship or another character that's going to require Get 2 currency, and if you haven't saved it up, got that currency saved up, then you're going to be waiting months to max out that character. So I'd recommend you save up a healthy supply of this stuff, okay? If we take a look there, General Grievous, his Malevolence fleet, for 5 shards it's 1,350, yeah? So that is 270 currency per shard, 330 times 270, that's 90,000 roughly, 90,000 currency to max that out. Now we don't know what they might release and if they might be more expensive, but if it's 90,000 to 7-star a new character or a new ship, and they could be coming out 2 at a time, then you need to save up nearly 200,000 of this currency. You don't have to. You could just save up, let's just say you save up 70,000, and you think, I'll just spend down to 70,000 getting these finisher pieces, or getting this Gear 12 Plus pieces. You can operate under that mindset, but personally I would say if you can, just save it, and you may well be thankful in the long run, okay? At least try and keep 60,000. I know that's coming a bit rich for me, but I've only just maxed out both Malevolence and Negotiator. Similar thing can be said for the Get 1 currency. Okay, so Get 1 is used for General Skywalker, it's used for Darth Malak, it's used for Hermit Yoda, it's used for Wampa. All of these characters are absolutely 100% necessary for you to get to 7-star. Okay, you need them. Malak and Skywalker are epic confrontation characters. We know we're going to get more epic confrontation characters, and you need 70,000 of that Get 1 currency to get them to 7-star. That's each. Now, we're going to get more epic confrontation characters in the future, and they are highly likely to require more Get 1 currency. So, unless you have maxed out all of these Get 1 characters, not these characters down here, not these characters down here, ignore these don't exist, guys, these do not exist, erase them from your mind, okay? If you have not got these characters at 7-star, I'm telling you now, you do not spend this currency, you do not, okay? General Skywalker is useless until he gets into relics. Malak is not quite as useful until he gets into relics. Hermit Yoda, you need him at 7-star to get Jedi Knight Luke. Wampa, you need him at 7-star to get Jedi Knight Luke. You need Jedi Knight Luke to get Jedi Master Luke. So do not spend this currency on anything but character shards. And once you have got those characters, do not spend that currency until you've got at least 70,000 more Get 1. You'll thank me later. All right, cool. Championship Store, and this is where you get your currency from Grand Arena. In my personal opinion, and this is just my personal opinion, you can tell me why I'm wrong in the comment section down below. This currency is for Chirotech and nothing else. Unless you need like 5 more pieces of a certain piece to finish off a piece to take a character to Gear 13, you just spend it on Cairo. That's what it's there for. It's Cairo. Just use it for Cairo. I need the computer tech right now, so I'm not spending my currency on the prods. So that's a quick and easy way of dealing with the Championship store. Shard store currency. General Grievous is an absolute rip-off. Do not spend your Shard store currency on General Grievous. You get him from the Fleet store. And only the Fleet store. Remember, you save fleet currency to buy Grievous, Vader, and Taxi. Taxi is the TIE Advanced X1. You don't spend it elsewhere. You do not buy Grievous from here. I want you to comment in the comment section down below saying, I will not buy Grievous with Shard Shop currency. It's a rip-off. Apart from that, these Gear 12 Plus pieces, some of them are highly, highly used. They are expensive, though. You can see 360 for 4. It's not very cheap, but you do need so many of these fusion furnaces. As you can see, I still need another 300 of these for Jedi Master Luke. That's why I'm farming these so hard. Armor Tech keypads, also useful. Basically, all of this gear is useful, really, except for anything that you got like 600 of. Ignore that. And these 6E mod slicing materials are also very useful. But I think most of us are going to be looking for this slot here. This slot here, not this gear piece, this slot here drops stun guns. Stun guns will be your priority with the Shard Shop currency. Always buy stun guns when they're in this store. They cost 186 currency. So if they appear here, buy them. If they're not here, make sure you save at least 186 for each refresh to make sure you buy the stun guns, because you need stun guns forever, guys. Okay. Other useful things can be the Mark V droid callers. Carbantes can be quite useful. Stun cuffs can be quite useful. But really just try and use this cleverly and try and make sure that you're constantly spending all your ally tokens in here in the Bronzium cards. Now you can see I've got 13k at the moment. What I tend to do is I save up to 100,000 and then I set a little macro to just auto-click this for days and 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 days. Yeah, just I build up to 100k and then I just give it like half an hour to go through and just... It's probably not even half an hour. It's probably less than that. But when you do that, you go back to the shard store and you're like, oh, check me out. I've got additional shards. Great. Those shards can now go towards gearing your characters. Boom. That is what you want. Okay, guys, we're at 26 minutes. I was going to say that this is going to be a resource management video, and it kind of is. But really, it was just going through the shipments. I'm going to break up the rest of resource management into another video because nobody's going to want to sit through half an hour-long videos. So I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.
Just giving a quick shout out to my patrons. I appreciate each and every single one of you, and without your support I wouldn't be doing this today. Thanks so much.